this is also very important when we are talking about ICT and digital media, because when we are saying there is a medium which is new, so how it is different from the traditional media. Okay. Also, we will be talking about the potential of digital media. Okay, so this is what we are going to talk about. Also, we are going to discuss about the digital media landscape, because now there are a lot of people who are connected to internet and people who are there on social media. Okay, so we also need to understand the media landscape, also known as the transformed media landscape. That means the media landscape which has changed, and how the change has happened because of convergence of these technologies. See, earlier when we used to talk about the media and traditional media, okay, so we used to talk about the media in isolation, different medium in isolation, right? Which means that there was a print media, it had a different category. Then there was an audio visual media, which had a different category. But when we are talking about this digital media or new media, we are talking about the convergence. That means that the printed form, the images, and the sounds were totally different categories, like the traditional print media, electronic media, and the radio. They were totally different categories earlier. But in digital media, for instance, the internet, web media, all these constitutes, all these media forms constitute the digital media. Okay. So when we are talking about the digital media, it's not particularly one media or technology which we are talking about. Okay. So when we are talking about digital media, we are talking about the packaging of information. Okay, this is the new way of offering information to our target audience. Understood? Any doubts? Okay, so let's start with what is ICT and how it is impacting different industries and some of the global trends that are driving in development of ICT and its product. Okay, so let's start with a basic definition of what ICT is. So ICT has three letters. Okay, that means, and with constitutes of three words which starts with information, communication, and technology. Okay, so what do you mean by information? Anyone? Anyone? Anybody can answer? What is information? See, information is the knowledge that is obtained from reading or investigation, study, or research, right? And communication is the act of transmitting messages and a process whereby information is exchanged between individuals. And then technology is the application of science which is used to solve problems. Okay, so putting these three together, the information here can be referred to all sorts of posts or texts and videos that are being shared and uploaded online. Okay, for example, I think everybody has their ID, their presence on Facebook, right? So Facebook post, we have what happens in a Facebook post? We have messages that are sent, okay, and we have pictures being uploaded, and we have news being uploaded, and all of these can be considered various forms of information. Okay, right? Understood? What do you mean by ICT? Okay, so let us focus on these three words behind ICT: information, communication, and technology. So a good way to think about ICT is to consider all the uses of digital technology that we already have, and that exists to help individuals and or businesses or organizations in a way in which they can use information, right? The ICTs are constantly evolving on almost daily basis, right? So it's difficult to keep up with the changes that happen so fast. So ICT covers any product that will, we can say, store or retrieve, or we can say manipulate, transmit or receive information electronically in a digital form. Okay, for example, we have personal computers, we have digital television, email, or robots. So ICT is concerned with the storage, retrieval, manipulation, transmission, or receipt of digital data. Okay, we can say this, right? So importantly, it is also concerned with the way these different users can work with each other. Okay, any doubts here on the users of ICT? See, in business, ICT is often categorized into two broad types of products. Okay, then we have the traditional computer-based technology. That means things you can typically do on a personal computer or using computers at home or at work. And second one is the more recent, the fast growing range of digital communication technologies, which allow people and organizations to communicate and share information digitally. Okay, so let's take a brief look at these two category or to demonstrate the kinds of products and ideas that are covered by ICT. We have traditional based computer based technologies. Okay, these type of ICT includes, we have this application, right? We have standard office application, for example, word processing. We have Microsoft Word, in where we can write letters, reports, etc. Then we have spreadsheets, for example, Microsoft Excel, where we can analyze any financial information, or we can do calculations, you can create forecasting models, etc., right? Then we have database. Example for database are Oracle. Then we have Microsoft SQL Server. Then we where we can manage data in many forms, right? From basic list, we can create a basic list of customer contacts through to complex material. For example, we can create a catalog as well from this database softwares. Then also, we also have presentation softwares like Microsoft PowerPoint, okay, where you can make presentations either directly using a computer screen or through a data projector. Then we can publish in digital format via email or over the internet. Then we have desktop publishing. Example is Adobe InDesign, Quark Express. All these softwares are desktop publishing softwares. Okay, we can produce newsletters, magazines, and other complex documents through these desktop publishing softwares. Then we have graphic softwares also, like Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. Then where you can create and edit images, such as you can create logos or drawings or pictures for use in the DTP, like desktop publishing websites or other publications. Okay. Then we have computer aided design. Computer aided design is the use of computers to assist the design process. Okay. uh, we have specialized programs that exist for many types of design. For example, you can have architectural designs, engineering, then roadways. All these things are computer aided design. Okay. Then we have traditional computer based technologies. Okay. See, the C part of ICT, that means the communication. It refers to the communication, right? So the communication of data by electronic means, usually over some distance. Okay, so this is often achieved via networks, right? Through internet. Okay, we have wires, receiving equipments like satellite links. All these things are the technologies. So the technologies involved in communication, they tend to be complex. So you certainly don't need to understand them for your ICT course here. However, there are aspects of digital communication that you need to be aware of. Okay. So these relate primarily to the types of network and the ways of connecting to the internet. So let's look at these two briefly. Okay, we have something called as internal networks. Okay, example can be LAN. Okay, usually referred to as a local area network. This involves linking a number of hardware items, okay, input and output devices plus computer processing together within an office or a building. And the aim of a LAN is to be able to share hardware facilities such as printers or scanners or software applications and data. And this type of network is invaluable in the office environment where colleagues need to have access to common data or programs. So this is the internal network where the internal public, the employees or colleagues can access the common data. Then we have external networks where, see, often you need to communicate with someone outside your internal network, right? So in this case, you will need to be part of wide area network, that is WAN, WAN. And the internet is the ultimate WAN, and it's a vast network of networks. So if we want to understand ICT in a broader context, see, your ICT course will almost certainly cover the above examples of ICT in action, right? Perhaps focusing on the use of key applications such as spreadsheets, databases, presentation, graphics, and web design softwares also is included. So it will also consider the following important topics, which I'm going to discuss now, that deals with the way ICT is used and managed in an organization. Okay. The nature of information, that means the I in ICT, this covers topics such as the meaning and value of information, how information is controlled. The limitations of ICT here are the legal considerations. Okay, you need to keep in mind the legal considerations of this framework. For example, we have to there is the management of information. Like this covers how data is captured, verified, and stored for effective use. Then you have the manipulation, the processing, and the distribution of information. Okay, how to keep the information secure. Okay, designing networks to share information. Then we also have something called as information system strategy. This considers how ICT can be used within a business or organization as part of achieving goals and objectives. Okay. So as you can see, ICT is a broad and fast changing subject. Okay. I hope you'll come to know briefly in other classes as we tend to give more examples. See, uh, we have something called as mass communication, right? All forms of external communication which are theoretically accessible to everyone and as use is made of mass media and mass communication vehicles, right? So the characteristics of mass communication are that it reaches a large number of people, and at the same time it is very easy, for the receiver to ignore the message. So it is not possible to customize the message for individual receivers in mass communication, and it is also difficult to obtain feedback, and it is relatively cheap per receiver reach. Okay, then comes the message. So the message of communication is the content one sends to the receiver, right? So in communication planning, one formulates the message in terms of the desired residue of the communication in the mind of the receiver. That means we need to keep in mind who is your receiver. Okay. For example, there are some these are often one liners with an emotional undertone appealing to the values of the receiver, or if you want to invite him or her to the desired action. Okay, the message is always transmitted by a person through a means, right? The body language or the choice of the medium has to support the message. If not, the result can be counterproductive. That means it can reverse. So that's why we can say the term as the medium is the message. It means medium is the message means a central idea of communication. There was a communication theorist, Marshall McLuhan, who demonstrated that each media, okay, whether it be print, television, or radio, audio, is connected with a different pattern or arrangement among the senses, okay, and thus results in a different awareness or perception. So although the literal message of a radio report For example, we can say a radio report of a disaster, okay, and the television coverage of the same event, okay, they may be identical in some aspect, but the event will be perceived differently and take on different meaning because of the two media, they arranges these senses differently. Here in this sense, the medium, that means the medium is the singular for the word media, okay. We can say here the medium is the message, and this message is often more important than the literal message, than the actual message, okay. Then we have mass media. Mass media refers to a diverse array of media technologies that reach a large audience via mass communication. So the technologies through which this communication takes place, they include a variety of outlets. Okay. The mass media includes internet media like blogs, we have message boards, podcasts, video sharing. Okay. So this is about mass media. Okay. Then we have something called as global village. See, the term global village has been used to express the idea that people throughout the world are interconnected through the use of new media technology. Okay. So, in short, it is the world considered as a single community linked by telecommunications. So, one easy example of the global village concept is the internet, of course. So having the internet on phones and access to free internet at libraries and caves, the people are easily able to connect via social media or email to people around the world, right? So being truly part of the global village means being connected to the worldwide communication network. And this makes it possible to know what's going on anytime, anywhere. And while this kind of awareness can be exciting, sometimes it can be a cause of stress as well. Global village, okay. And noted media scholar McLuhan has coined the concept of global village. Is it clear? Any doubts? Okay, so this was all about the introduction to information technology. So we'll discuss about the evolution of information and communication technology. Okay, how it all started. Just give me a minute. Okay, so the evolution of information and communication technologies can be divided into four phases. Okay, the first phase was the mainframe phase. It was from the mid 1960s to the late 1970s. The second was the microcomputer phase, which was from the early 1980s to the mid 1990s. And the third phase was the web phase in the late 1990s. And the fourth is the digital phase, which we have entered now. Okay. So across these four phases, three key trends can be observed here. Okay. The first is the increased accessibility. Okay. The second is increased interactivity, and the third is much more diffused. That is origination. So I'll tell you what it is all about. Okay. See, as we have discussed, ICT is the technology required for information processing, in particular the use of electronic computers, communication devices, and software application to convert, store, protect, or process, transmit, and retrieve information from anywhere, anytime, right? So information and communication technologies can be defined for the purpose of this study as a collection of technologies and applications which enable processing or storing and dissemination of information by electronic means to a wide variety of users or clients. Okay? So thereby increasing the efficiency of information related human activities, right? So we can say that ICTs are also characterized by the speed of their technological advance or the rapidly increasing range of applications in many sectors, right? Um, we can say in many sectors of professional and personal life as well. And additionally, thanks to the digitalization, it is today possible to reduce all sorts of information and data to binary digits. That means binary digits means a series of zeros and ones, okay, that can be processed and stored, copied, and shared using different applications and can travel seamlessly over electronic networks, okay, enabling intellectual capital to be transferred efficiently. And the improved capacity provided by broadband technology is opening the way for further development of virtual content, right? For example, trade, and then fostering the creation of original forms of business. And then we have this growth of virtual markets, right? We have all the businesses are have their presence online now. So because of the high economic benefit expected from ICTs, these have become a popular focal point of public policy in any information age. Okay. And then we can also say technological innovations have also the potential to democratize access to and use of information. But at the same time, they also represent a threat to equal access and information dissemination. And we have private companies that are willing to enter the new information economy, and then they also want to exploit the potential benefits of e-commerce, right? So in consequence, we can say the amount of protected, or we can say with the pay information that is being garnered through payment, right, paying of information, so that is put on the internet will grow. And this is a threat, and together with the price of this content, we can say that information processing, transmission, or storage using ICTs is, they are creating really creating new issues or threats, right? In talking about information revolution, there are three kinds of massive revolutions that have taken place in our society, right? They can be termed as the agricultural, the industrial, and the information revolution. So I'll just give you a brief about this, and then next class we'll discuss like how we have proceeded from agricultural to industrial and to information revolution. See, the second half of the 20th century and particularly its last decade have seen a dramatic increase in, the dawn of new age. For example, we can term it as the information age or information revolution or knowledge society. They are all the same, right? Okay. So the main motive force behind this rhetoric is the emergence of new technologies, broadly referred to as information and communication technologies. And these technologies are directly or indirectly, they are transforming society on a global scale. And the discourse surrounding the recent advances in the ICTs has largely been, self-regulatory, which are leading to visions of, a knowledge society. An important consequence of the information revolution has been that people are convinced that they are more informed. So as a result of the, massive glut of information, people are bombarded with a lot of information every day, right? Then we had this concept of information based society. Okay, it's the transition from an agricultural society to an industrial society. So how was the transition from an agricultural society to an industrial society? It took centuries, right? The transition took centuries to take place, but the change from an industrial society to one based on information society has been happening since decades. That means it took a lot of time for this transition. Okay. And the main engine for the change has been the computer, right? Do you agree with this? The computer, you know, the computer has a main role to play in the transition. So mass production techniques have reduced the cost of computer power, so that the machine which cost $500,000, for example, 30 years ago, they are, it's not utilized now. 1 minute. Okay, so a lot of things have changed, right? So just as the industrial society was based on manufacturing, the information society focuses on the use of information as a resource. Okay, that means the application of computers to business uses is called information technology. Okay, the term we had knowledge worker. Okay, the knowledge worker means the person who earns his or her living using information. And in the information age, is the increase in knowledge, okay, is termed as information age. Okay, and it all began in the 1960s. It was made possible by the rapid evolution of information technology over the last half century. And many of the jobs that will be available in 5 years have not yet been invented, right? You agree with that? So new jobs are replacing the old manual labor and clerical jobs, and also reducing the large administrative bureaucracies of earlier years. So as you complete this course further, you will be introduced to the skills needed to grow in this information society. And now we also have the application of AI, artificial intelligence, right? Which has also entered all the sectors. Okay. See, the ability to record, synthesize, and use information has helped to simplify work, right? They have helped to simplify work processes and to increase productivity. And the computer has also enabled automation of the plants and manufacture of the products which people consume, right? So industrial robots and large scale automation of manufacturing processes has enabled widespread access to affordable goods. And the use of technology to lever performance has led to the re-engineering of businesses. And computer technology enabled the move from mass production to mass customization. Okay, for example, if you want to model your kitchen, you can go to a store and work with a computer that will help you design your kitchen, right? See what it will look like and how much it will cost, that also can be estimated. So this is known as computer aided design, that is CAD, and with virtual reality software, that is VR software. Through this software, you can move around in your proposed kitchen, and when you're satisfied with the design, the computer will develop the list of parts, then produce the design drawings, and so on. So in some applications, this customized design information is then fed into the manufacturing system, that is the computer aided manufacturing, or we can term it as CAM, or automated factories. And then the computer also manages the masses of information needed to organize this increased complexity, right? So markets are now defined in world terms. You agree with that? So increasingly people are working from home on their desktop computers. Then computer based technologies are being invented to help people cope with the wealth of information now available on your desktop computers, right? So students can also do courses in the same way and use the technology to aid in the learning processes. Okay, we can also say that you are participating is then in this evolution now, as you're using the technology for your classes, right? And the rapid growth of telecommunications and its merging with computing technology has enabled you to use your computer to communicate worldwide, right? And the infrastructure to allow computers to connect with each other was already in place when the personal computer started to become widespread. And the parallel growth of telecommunications has been described as, for example, you can say having the roads, garages, and maintenance infrastructure in place. Okay, when the first mass produced cars rolled off the roads, that time also it was very much in place, it was used. In this course, you may gather information from computers in different countries by using the internet, right? And this gives you a constantly changing perspective on information technology, which would not be possible using a single textbook. And if we talk about 10 years ago, this was an impossible concept for a course, right? So as you read on in the next classes, you look at some applications of information technology. While doing this, you please consider how technology is already influencing your life. Okay, observe in your everyday life, like any technology, it is only a tool that amplifies our ability to do things. We can say that information technology can be used in useful or harmful ways, right? And later in this course also you will see the checks and balances needed to use information technology in beneficial ways. Okay, so internet and communication across boundaries. See, we had used your mind. See, digital technology is it. What does it do? It generates, stores, and processes data as a string of binary digits. I said right, zero and ones or bits, ones and zeros, and its role in the society since the early 1990s has been compared to that of the railroad during the Industrial Revolution. Okay. See, it is called digital because information embodied as text, sound, or moving images, photographs, or graphics can be coded into binary digits, and they can be quickly processed, and they can be transmitted by computers, and then it can be decoded, and then it can be presented in a form that people can comprehend. That means that people can understand easily. So this conversion process is known as digitalization. Okay. So there are digital devices. There has been something of a digital revolution since the late 20th century, right? Nowadays, digital technology can be found not only in computers, but in a wide range of consumer electronic devices, including cell phones. We have digital cameras, and now we have cam recorders, MP3 players, right? So these are all the examples. And then digital technology also allows books and manuscripts to be scanned or what we can say is transcribed into a digital form, and then accessed and searched online or via an electronic device, okay, through your mobile phone, through tabs, through laptop, computers, etc., with the use of internet. Then we have something called as convergence. See, technologically rich societies have entered the digital age. Okay, and media industries are grappling with new opportunities and threats on day-to-day basis, which is afforded by what is called as convergence, where media people tend to get very excited about convergence when we talk about convergence because it holds so much promise, right? The melding, the coming together of different media, incorporating new personalized services. Sometimes it's both impressive and overwhelming for the journalists. But see, the adoption of high performance computers, shift to digital platforms, and then creation of high speed computer networks, they all have brought us new ways of doing things. Okay, and there are some old barriers of time and space that are practically eliminated here. Now you can view, you can hear, or you can read virtually, right? Anything, anywhere, and anytime. That is right, right? So anywhere you can access, and you can watch any video. You can listen to, you can hear your favorite songs from anywhere. Now, the old definitions that provided separation between radio, TV, or cable, and newspapers and films, they have gone or are going forever. But the 1990s, they had bought the ownership convergence. That means creating media conglomerates like Disney, Viacom, and Sony. So all these are media conglomerates. From the consumer view, the internet has recently changed our favorite delivery system. For example, newspapers now provide video, like they are online, right? They have gone online, they have their presence online, they provide video, and then TV now they offers interactive chat, television shows, right? And radio has also webcams now, digital radio. Okay. And then with the 3G telephony, we can say mass media companies can include consumer technologies such as mobile phones and video games. So now what we can say is we have blurred the lines between what is called as infotainment, promotainment, and edutainment, because it has all merged. And now it's hard to separate intrapersonal or interpersonal and mass communication. All these the different forms of communication, they have merged now. So these changes represent a shift in the way we view communication, and are typically referred to as convergence, right? Convergence media. We can imply the term convergence media here. So we have the World Wide Web, mobile telephone, multimedia computer, communication satellites, all these suggesting these technologies, they represent media convergence. Okay. The coming together of all the technologies, that is print, electronic, audio, video, text, images, all the forms of technologies into one form is the media convergence. If we talk about India on the threshold of convergence, we can say that the convergence in India has arrived faster than expected, right? See, the convergence would help in webcasting. Then we have video on demand. We have internet through a cable. So the much awaited delivery of internet through cable network has already started in many parts of the country. And the optical fiber cable that carries more bandwidth, resulting in more signals being carried with superior clarity. And the cable companies are expected to rule the roost due to investments made by these cable networks. Okay. And the upgradation of cable network, that is to optical fiber. Okay. All this poses tough competition for all the players in the market. So we can say that the broadband network on its existing network at a very low cost can be used, and the cable operators deliver the cable and satellite channels to the consumers. And with more and more channels going no pay to air, that means you need to pay to be on air, to be visible. So they would open up subscription revenue to the broadcasters, and in future also it will emerge a major source of revenue, and we can say much larger than the advertisement revenue stream. We already have this OTT platforms, right? Online channels. So the channel will be carried on two platforms. That is, one is direct to operator, that is DTO, and next is DTH, that is direct to home. So both the services have user addressability in area, we can say in the era of convergence. Okay. Now convergence, they have become a glitch of the information age. That means in its current usage, it refers to two distinct, though related phenomena. One is the way that all transmission media become a bit carriers, so that different network platforms can carry similar kinds of services. And the next is the tendency of the previously separate words of like earlier I told you, broadcasting, film, telecommunication, publishing, and computing. They have merged together, come together to become involved in each other's business. That means I told you, right? Newspapers, and they also have videos now through online presence. Television has chat. So they are interfering with each other's business, we can say that. And when it comes to digital divide, see, ICT has divided the whole world into two parts. We can say one of those who possess the wealth and so can afford the ICT gadgets and services, and the other is the vice versa, right? That means who do not others who do not have the required wealth to acquire, possess the gadgets and the services. So as it would be apparent, we can say that the rich countries and the rich people, even in the poor countries, can afford to make use of the ICT services, and also would be able to survive in the technological era. But those who cannot afford, they would slowly lag behind in the race towards development. So, in other words, we can say that those who are wealthy would become wealthier, and those who are poor would continue to become poorer. And this will have implications on individuals, at families level, societies, and even on nations, right? It is generally believed that ICT may have created a new class of untouchables living in information poverty at one level, okay, and a new cadre of high technology entrepreneurs on the other. For example, I said you right, urban areas mainly have benefited by ICT. And for example, New Delhi accounts for more than 70% of India's internet connections when compared to other parts of the country, for example, UP and other underdeveloped cities. Okay. And talking about the evolution of new media, is it clear, Hasini? Yeah, the class is very much going on. Okay. Any doubts? Any doubts in any of the topic? So when talking about the evolution of new media, we can say that new media technologies such as the internet and other forms of digital communication are compressing time and space, right? We can say that. And people are no longer restricted by physical distance, right? Since the media are reducing our need to travel and rather than having to be physically there on the other side of the world, right? TV and other media bring the other side of the world to us at our doorstep, right, at the comfort of our home. So there is no longer a need to be together in the same place to share or in experience major events, right? Whether they are the, for example, Olympic Games in Beijing or the presidential election in the USA. The electronic media and the new communication technologies make such news and events instantly accessible to us wherever we are. Okay. And if we talk about the impact of new media, we can say that today traditional mass media like the newspapers, magazines, radio, and television have been affected in several ways by the revolution in digital technologies, right? So, especially by the internet and the World Wide Web. Now, we can say there are hundreds and thousands of newspapers currently appearing on the internet. You agree, right? So, in addition, many popular print magazines such as Times or Newsweek and others, everybody have their online editions, have their online presence. So, and radio as a popular commercial medium has been around since the 1930s, right? With TV joining it in the 1950s, these technologies were based on the conventional broadcast model, where messages originate from a single source and are disseminated through the airwaves to many listeners. So, for decades, the traditional broadcast model dominated the ways in which radio and TV stations communicated with their audiences. And with the advent of the internet, radio, and TV stations, they have found a new way to communicate with their audiences. And currently, many radio stations and most, if not all, for example, the national network TV stations, as well as a wide range of cable TV channels, have their strong presence on the internet. And social media, if you talk about social media, they includes messages, boards, blogs, wikis, social networks. Now we have Web 2.0, okay, which is the interactive capability. Okay. Then social media, what is social media is an extraordinary typical term to pin down, right? Sometimes it refers to an activity, for example, a journalist blogging, sometimes to a software tool like a blogger, or sometimes to a platform. You can refer to, for example, Facebook, right? So it incorporates the term UGC, that means user generated content. And it is yet much of this content is not really social at all, because social media is also constantly mutating and evolving, because it's changing, right? It's evolving daily. Everything, every day there is something new coming up. Okay. So just when you think that you have nailed it, a new combination emerges and then it changes perceptions, right? Okay. So that's all for today. We'll discuss about social media in tomorrow's class.